Hey everybody, welcome. That sound you heard, it was us come sliding in. So we get the Department of Transportation's on-time performance thing within 15 minutes, but we were only 5 minutes late. So I think sometimes, Dieter, we should probably show you and I in chaos just before we go on. We need to do a bloopers reel
All
here.
the steam and
Yeah, all
stuff.
that stuff and all the anxiety that that's what we could teach more about anxiety just by watching us when we're trying to get the show launched here. Well, I'm still Captain Ron, and Dieter is still First Officer Dieter Staudinger here with all the technical backup and support that sometimes isn't quite enough because he's dealing with somebody who is of a different generation. But I tried to do my part here. So anyway, welcome everybody. This is our weekly show, Fearless Flight Live. And without further ado, I'm going to just start it. So we're trying to fool people
We
into
got a
thinking.
lot. We got a lot to go through this week,
Yeah, we're trying to
and
convince people that we know what we're doing here. So, all right. So you should see the slides, I believe. So
yep,
welcome
yep, all good.
everybody. Captain Ron with First Officer Dieter Staudinger here, and this is our weekly Fearless Flight live show, 6:30 Pacific on the West Coast, 9:30 for all you night owls on the East Coast. Thanks for staying up with us or disrupting your supper. We kind of try to split the hairs here because we got people on the West Coast that they were just barely getting home, and people on the East Coast thinking about going to bed and everywhere in between. So anyway, it's our effort to try to get everybody included, and you could be watching the replay because we do post the replay after every week's session. So leave it, no matter whether you're watching us live or watching us watching the replay. Please consider leaving a message there for us and all these other fine people that come to the site now and then, trying to get over their flight anxiety. We will. We have a group, a private Facebook group called Fearless Flight, Birds of a Feather. This is a really, really wonderful opportunity for people who are just getting started or people who've been here for a while. Because if you're just getting started, you can connect with other people, realize that you're not alone in the world with this malady. And if you've been here for a while, you can pass your wisdom along to other people. It's always appreciated. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 101. Man, it's coming up this weekend. I'm really excited about going over there and doing the show. And then we're also going to show mention that we have a Clear for Takeoff 301. We call that our graduation flight. It's Clear for Takeoff 301 graduation flight. And we're going to be trying to filter people not only from Burbank, or for Valencia, from the two Air Hollywood classes on April 12th and May 10th, but we're going to try to also feed people in from Phoenix here. And we'll talk about that in just a minute, how we're going to do that. Just going to mention the live monthly group coaching webinar. Oh my gosh, it's already next week. It's just 9 days off. And the title of that is going to be Your Inner Autopilot, Regaining Control When Fear Takes Over. So basically, it's about how to feel in control when you don't feel in control. And we'll do that. So, okay, here's the link for the class coming up this Saturday at the Air Hollywood Studios, Clear for Takeoff 101 Los Angeles version. It's up in Valencia, which is about 20 miles north of the Burbank Airport, as I understand it. Brand new studio. Talat Captain is gracious enough to open up his studio there for us to do that. We have a mock-up of a wide-body airplane, and I promise we will not leave the ground with that. I have had people ask me if I was going to move it, and if we ever get that thing to fly, we're gonna drive the airlines out of business because they want to know how we did that. So, but it is on April 12th. We have another class on May 10th. So if you're in the LA area, one of those weekends, please come and join us. And there it is again on the 12th. Okay. Now, quickly, we want to talk about this new strategy. We're going to run advanced classes, Clear for Takeoff 301, the graduation flight from both Burbank and Phoenix on May 31st. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to Burbank on the night of the 30th, the day before. I'm going to go to meet a bunch of people out at the airport, at the Burbank Airport on the following morning, May 31st. We're going to get on. We're going to fly to Phoenix. We're going to land. We're going to connect with a bunch of Phoenix people. They're going to join us. So we're party hardying all the way back to Burbank. And then when we get there, we got a little bit of a layover. We'll stop, we'll debrief, say goodbye to the Burbank folks. And myself and the Phoenix folks will get back on the airplane and we'll come back to Phoenix and call it a day. And you all will be blessed as brand new Fearless Flyers. So we're looking forward to that. And Dieter, I think Dieter's, you got anything to add on that, Dieter? You got all this, I don't know if you want to take them over to the website or anything, or just talk about it a little bit.
No, because I'm just gonna I'm doing this as we speak, putting the links in for each of the classes, because if you want to fly from Phoenix, it's a different registration process and different flight numbers, obviously. Well, one of them is the same, but all the other flight numbers are different.
Yeah.
So we wanted to keep that separate, avoid as much confusion as possible. And so that's why you see the two different links there. If you're in LA, use the 301-LA link. And the only thing that I will implore everybody, if you are considering this flight class, and if you're in the LA or in the Phoenix area, I don't really know why you wouldn't. Please go and book your flights, like enroll, register, and book your flights early. As we were doing the links and screenshots, and we got our flights there, they were $90 one way from Phoenix to Burbank, and I think it was about 105 from Burbank to Phoenix. So I mean, this is an amazing price, but if you wait till the week before the class, that won't be the ticket price that you're going to be paying. So
you'll be saying, "Hey, you guys, you know how expensive it is?" Yes, we do. The closer you get, and this is probably the earliest, I think, or at least amongst the earliest we've ever launched this. So we got 6 weeks to go, and like Dieter says, the closer you get, the more Southwest realizes how important it is for you to get on that flight, and they keep raising the price there. So,
and that's why we have. Sorry, Ron, but that's why we actually have those two classes in LA on April 12th and May 10th, so that you can actually come to the Air Hollywood studios beforehand, kind of like allow yourself to have that experience, get prepared, and then fly with us on May 31st. And same, we have another free class in Phoenix coming up in the beginning of May as well. I think that's May 3rd, the date for that. So really, that's why we actually put thought into this, to help you step by step, to get on that plane and fly with us, stay current if you have already flown. So that's all I have to say, Ron.
Yeah, we just want to make sure you're not one of the people that comes up afterwards and says, "Oh man, I wished I'd have bought my ticket because now my confidence is up." So that's why we do it. And we realize it's a stretch to buy your ticket and then hope you're going to feel like you're going to be able to fly, but you are. It's just a transformative experience to come and meet with other people in the same boat as you. So, and reemphasize one more time, like Dieter said, it's important which link you choose, because if you're joining us in Phoenix, you'll buy a round trip from Phoenix to Burbank and back. If you're joining us in Burbank, you'll go Burbank, Phoenix, and back. And I'll be flying as much as I did when I was working for a living here. So, but we're looking forward to it. So, okay. Tonight we're going to talk about, I'm doing a couple interviews, and it always reminds me that, it's always appropriate to help people, throwing out tips and stuff. So we're going to give a real whirlwind view to some simple tips that you can use to cope with anxiety. These are simple, portable, powerful techniques that you can use to manage your flight anxiety before and during a flight. These are strategies that I've taught over, holy cow, decades, almost 4 decades, and they work. And this is from feedback from people that I've coached over the years, and ones who have helped me develop it. So journaling, that's a great place to start. What do you do when you're minding your own business, walking around the house, and all of a sudden those invasive thoughts come up, obsessive compulsive thought loops, and you can't get out of it? You start thinking about anything but what you want to think about. It hijacks your attention. So get a little notebook. It doesn't have to be any bigger than this, and carry a pencil around with you. And what do you write down? You write down simply what you are thinking. I hate this. I don't like fear flying. I'm afraid of turbulence. I don't like it when I get in and they close the door. Any of those things. And another technique that I teach is writing with your non-dominant hand. It slows you down. It engages your emotional brain, which we call the elephant brain sometimes, and it can reveal insights that you wouldn't uncover otherwise. It's a real strange process. It comes from other parts of therapy. I did this when I was going through my own issues with trauma and stuff, and it's kind of magical the way it can help you sometimes. So write down your thoughts clearly to help you, and then you can expand on them. So, for example, you could write down, "I don't like this." And then, and you go back to that and you say, you rewrite, "I don't like this, but I've been through this before." Maybe not flying, but maybe you've had a close call on an automobile sometime. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to go from writing down the raw thoughts and fears into replacing it with a positive version of that by reframing. Literally, like I had one picture and you took it out and you put another picture in there. You're reframing your thoughts. This is a very, very sophisticated technique that helps you gain control of all that chatter in your mind. HRV breathing, it's related to the beats, the time, and the process between beats in your heart, okay? And this comes from research, and they've shown that this is one of the most efficient ways to help manage your anxiety by regulating and putting into harmony your sympathetic nervous system, like the accelerator on a car, which amps you up, and your parasympathetic nervous system, which slows you down. And literally, you breathe in for 4 seconds and exhale for 6. And it activates the calming part of your autonomic nervous system, namely, again, the parasympathetic nervous system. It's one of the most effective ways to regulate anxiety, and you do this to train your body to respond more calmly during flight. So you can do it in advance and practice it. And I recommend another thing I didn't put up there. I recommend that you use your personal device, your iPhone or your Android, get the stopwatch function out there so that you can literally make it in for 4 seconds and out for 6 and monitor that, because otherwise you'll going too fast. Okay. Other tools, a barf bag. How are you going to? No, we don't want to use the barf bag for the barf. We want you to use the barf bag as another breathing apparatus. So whether you grab a straw going through the food court, or you use the sick sack in the seat back of the seat in front of you, that's another way to help regulate your breathing. How does it work? If you're breathing through the straw, you purse your lips around it and cup it. Now, it slows you down because by virtue of the fact that the small size of the straw limits how much air you can inhale and exhale. And what it does is it helps you calm yourself down, focus on your breathing, and ultimately it might help you prevent hyperventilation, which is what happens when you breathe too fast and too deep and you expel too much carbon dioxide, which changes the pH level in your blood, causes you to have lightheadedness, tingly fingers and toes, and now you panic even more thinking, what's wrong, what's going on? The sick sack is something you can literally take, hold it in your hands like this. You can make a little kind of a mask for it, put your finger there, and just like the instructions on what to do if the mask dropped from the ceiling, you put the little sick sack over your nose and over your mouth. And you can watch again, do the HRV breathing in for 4, out for 6. And one of the advantages of that, in addition to just monitoring your breath rate, is that you can actually breathe back the carbon dioxide that you may have been expelling too much of to keep you from hyperventilating. I have a little numbers game I play.
Ron, there's a question
Okay.
about the breathing, and the question is, the question is literally, will this really work when I am panicking on the plane?
Well, it will. It actually will. But here's the problem. If you get into panic, think about if that's happened to you when you were, what happens? Your cognitive function shuts down. You don't want to hear anybody talk about breathing. You don't want to do anything else. Your willingness to do something else or even think about something else goes away. So why do we have you practice this before you get in that situation? It's like me being a pilot. They make us do all these crazy things in a simulator so that if we're ever confronted in the airplane, we can bridge that short gap where we might be startled. And I'm going to talk about startle response a little bit later, but where we're startled and instead of going into fear, triggering fear, it helps us trigger some things that we've practiced before. So the real answer to your question is, are you willing to practice this before you get into that circumstance so that when you do it, you don't say, oh my gosh, I just want to curl up in a fetal ball and somehow have people take me out of here or rescue myself. Because once you become overwhelmed like that, panic attack, some people call it, your ability to function diminishes significantly. Okay, so what did Capt Ron said? He said, yeah, it'll work if you work it. And how do you work it? You practice. You can do it at home for 5 minutes. 5 minutes will seem like forever when you do that. But that's what we want you to get used to. We want you to use it and get bored when you're in a non-threatening circumstance so that you can have that extra practice of bridging that gap, just like we train for up in the cockpit. Okay? Any questions? Talk to me. Okay, another thing you can do, you can play a numbers game. Sometimes you can do that. You could do this with another person. When I'm doing a coaching session, I'm teaching people how to do this. I play this game. I say, okay, whatever number I give you, you add 3 to it and give me the total. So if I say 3, they would then say 8. If I say, or I'm sorry, they would say 6. If I said 4, then they would say 7. And then you can make this more complex. So you could build your own flashcards to do it for yourself. You could make one problem for each flashcard, and on one side you could put a number like 5, flip it over, and it has 8, because you can make it more complex. How do you do that? One of the things is, instead of make a rule change like this. So if let's say the number is 7, you add 3 to that, now the answer becomes 10. But if I say you can't use a 2-digit answer, you have to drop the first digit. So now the answer isn't 10, you drop the 1 and it becomes 0. Okay, if I got you totally confused, that's good, because you aren't thinking about your anxiety in that moment. But we can do that, and then I can do it. I've done it with people up to 4 digits. So if I say 2, 3, 2, 3, you got to add 3 to each one of those. So it'll be 5, 6, 5, 6. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to do that. Talk to me, do a 15-minute coaching session, and I'll give you those hints, or book a regular coaching session for 60 minutes. Okay, it distracts your anxious mind and engages logic. You can have somebody play that with you. You could have your flying partner do that for you. So it's a simple math game. It engages the logical brain and diverts focus from the emotional brain, your elephant brain, and mental challenges help calm your emotional brain and help you shift attention. That's how you get out of anxiety. That's what the breathing is all about. You're trying to calm yourself down so you can access that logical part of your brain that has the answers. Listening calming audio. Fearless Flight Harmonizer is one of the most popular things that we have, the most popular tool that we have. It comes as part of the Fearless Flight Kit, which is an educational package in and of itself. It's a collection of 7 downloadable digital files, including the 32-minute audio file called the Fearless Flight Harmonizer. And people report it's extremely helpful to help you break thought loops and distract you. Other things that might work similarly, have your favorite playlist. The downside to a playlist, however, can be your brain already knows the songs and the tunes and all that, and it says, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to trick me into thinking about something else. Not going to work. I'm going to go back to what I was thinking about. So I recommend new music or different music, or even better, maybe audiobooks in which you have an interest, or podcast, especially new ones, something that's unfamiliar with you. And remember, you want to make sure that you've downloaded those audiobooks and podcasts before you get on the airplane, because it's not necessarily or always possible to stream those things and download them once you get on there. And remember, audio helps regulate your mood, and it provides distraction, which is the second leg of our Fearless Flight method: education, disrupt or distract yourself. And the newer the material, the more likely it is to keep your brain engaged, pulling your focus away from where it wants to go, where it's trying to hijack you towards in anxiety loops, more toward curiosity and entertaining you. And pretty soon you'll notice you're not thinking about flying anymore. It's like the days before you became fearful, or unlike flying when you are afraid. So, okay, videos and movies, same basic philosophy, same preparation. You need to download them in advance. Choose something that you're engaged in, or funny content. There's so much streaming material on TV now. And I know Netflix, I know Amazon, a lot of those streamers, they permit you to download it. So that's a great place to get ready to binge watch your favorite streaming series, so you don't have to stay up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning like I get sucked into sometimes. And you can do it on the airplane. And worst comes to worst, you'll get bored enough you'll fall asleep. The one thing I want to say is bring headphone adapters also, because if you're flying on the major carriers like Delta, United, they have entertainment in the seat back in front of you. They usually have a standard, is it a 16th inch, 8th inch jack, I think it's called. Okay. But a lot of times, like my Apple AirPods, they don't. And so what you need to get, and I've got it in the other room. I didn't bring it in here, but you can get this little thing on, I wish I wouldn't have mentioned this now, but you get this little adapter. It's relatively inexpensive, and you can plug it in, and it Bluetooths in the entertainment system to your headphones. It's really cool. Maybe I mean to probably do a little show on that. We'll put a link in the show notes to the device that I've got there. Okay, rituals. You know, the thinking on rituals used to be, rituals are a way that people try to deal with their superstitious nature about something happening on the flight. There's actually the fellow who wrote Chatter, Ethan Kross, Kross. He talks about the positive aspect of rituals. He talks about Nadal. What is it, his last name, first name? The tennis great. Anyway,
Rafael Nadal.
Rafael Nadal. He had a ritual that he did, like you see in baseball when the coaches are giving signs at third base, and he goes through this, and he did it not because he thought it brought him good luck, but it was a simple thing that actually downregulated any anxiety that was going along before he started to serve. Pretty clever. And now I've found that that's the same kind of thing that happens for people who are anxious about flying. You can breathe at milestones, takeoff, cruise, landing. You can have specific things like that. You can repeat affirmations, finger tapping with the breath. There is tapping that you can. I've never put too much emphasis on tapping. It does talk about it in the harmonizer very briefly, but there are various things you can do that you can ritualize and help to internalize this little process. And the cue is create a structure and routine which helps your brain feel safe and less reactive. And the name of the game is to become less reactive. Okay, so final thoughts. These tools retrain your brain. They've been proven, like we've said, and you're not alone in this journey. And practice, patience, and persistence are the key. These strategies are about creating safety signals for your nervous system. You can't always stop the fear immediately, but you can outsmart it. You really can. One breath, one tool, one flight at a time, and pretty soon you're learning to fly fearlessly. And remember the little explanation I gave to the breathing. It's important to practice before you get into that situation. That's why they make us go to the simulator all the time as pilots, because they don't want us to get into that realm of where we don't know what we're doing anymore. Okay.
Okay, so I think we just about at the end of that presentation. I just want to bring that back in, that the idea of ritual, it's not just Rafa Nadal, it's literally every single high performance athlete that is using the power of ritual. There are a tremendous amount of books in the high performance sports, literature that all deal with that, because it's almost we gotta use some of the same tools that some of these high performance athletes are using to get us ready, for the flight. Because if you really think about it, your anxiety is also like a ritual in many ways. It's so predictable, it's so repeatable, and you get better and better at it every time a flight comes along. And so what we want you to practice instead is use the power of your conscious mind, and slowly and in a methodical way build up the strength and the stamina, so that when you are in the stressful situation, you actually have access to these tools. So that is the key, that we wanted to all of these tips and tools are great, but you gotta have a plan going forward.
Absolutely.
Going into your flight already.
Yeah. Overcoming flight anxiety is about changing the way you think. And thinking is a habit, no less than writing with your preferred hand. That's why we try to teach you write with your non-preferred hand, and you can start that process to break some of those chains that you have. And the thing about thinking, if you want to change the way you experience flying, you do have to change your thoughts about that. And that's why, again, as Dieter suggested, as I talked about before, when we fly airplanes, you can get into bad habits. They make us go through things in the airplane that you would never practice on a simulator, that you would never practice in a real live airplane. So that when we go, that first 1, 2, 3 thoughts that we have are on the course of putting us on the right track, resolving the issue before we otherwise add to the problem and make it worse. And that's really, really important. There's one last thing I want to do. I found the right presentation, Dieter, and that is, I want to talk about. People ask me, "Hey, Capt Ron, have you ever been scared?" In some version of that question, they want to know, "Did you ever come close to dying or anything like that?" No, actually, I haven't, because one, flying is just so doggone reliable. But here's the difference. The difference between my reaction and you, if you have flight anxiety, is my reaction. Okay, my reaction is one of a startle response, where yours is it may start with startle, but it ends up in flight anxiety. And the differences are that flight anxiety is anticipatory. There's that ugly word again. That's what bothers 99% of you. It's not near as much the actual flying as it is thinking about how you're going to cope when you get into those stressful situations. So flight anxiety is anticipatory and ongoing. A startle response, however, is brief and reflexive. Anxiety is based on imagined danger, fear in the future. Startle is a normal automatic reaction to real-time stimuli. So my example is, we're flying along, I'm in the front, you're in the back of the airplane. We get one of those sudden drops due to clear air turbulence, and both of us react. Both of us have a startle response, okay, to trigger everything. Mine goes up, however, and it comes down rapidly, within seconds. Because I've been through it before, I have a chance to not panic. I have a chance to move from my elephant brain over to my logic brain and say, "Oh, you've been here many times before, Ron." Whereas yours goes up there and you get stuck. and you can't get down. That's why you practice a lot of these things when you're not flying, okay, before you get into that environment. And flight anxiety comes from our thinking brain. It's a fear of what might happen. It comes from our elephant brain, actually. And people with flight anxiety often begin anxious well before the flight even starts. Some people months, and it can persist throughout the journey. Startle response, on the other hand, is non-anxiety. It's a reflex. And when there's an unexpected jolt or loud noise, everyone, including me and other pilots, can startle. That doesn't mean that we're afraid of flying. It just means that our nervous system is doing its job, and the feeling quickly fades or subsides. That's why, again, we train in the simulator so that our startle response remains just that, instead of triggering fear and anxiety. And so this is just a closing thing I wanted to say. Yes, I've been startled many times. Startle is natural, it fades quickly, and in flight anxiety is different in that it lingers. And with support, you can overcome this. This is where you connect with people personally. Let them know you understand what they're asking. Share that this is why I wanted to share that even pilots experience startle response, loud sounds, sudden bumps, things like that. Doesn't mean we're afraid. It means that we're still paying attention. And of all the things you want to know about your pilots, you want to know that they're up there paying attention. Okay. Gosh, Dieter, I think we've done it.
Yeah.
Unless we got any other questions or anything?
No, I just want to, there was just one question about the 301 flight class. So what happens, it's a little bit different on May 31st. We will have a pre-flight webinar on Thursday the 29th at 6:30 Pacific, and both the group from Phoenix as well as the group that's flying from Los Angeles, we're gonna have that pre-flight briefing via Zoom on Thursday at 6:30. That's May 29th, and then on Saturday in the morning, the flights will happen. So you will get all this information when you register. You'll get an email with the exact link for Zoom. Yep. And the exact flight information that you need, so you can go over to Southwest and book your flights. So everything will be.
And you'll get a copy of the replay of the flight review, so you can take it with you in the future. We don't just want you to get over flying with us for one time. We want you to get so that you can understand your process. You can review it whenever you get 3 to 4 weeks or in front of any flight in the future. And most of all, we don't want you to ruin your trip back worrying about the flight back. We want you to be able to sustain this. Okay. So again, Dieter, thanks for everything. Just a quick note, we're starting to get into the website makeover. We're hoping that we'll have this, I hope, within 2 months. And then we'll have a lot of other things, a lot of easier access for you all. And hopefully not only easier in terms of easier on the eyes, but easier on the brain, trying to figure out what to do when you get there. So thanks. Keep those cards and letters coming, folks. We enjoy doing this for you. I hope it shows. And on behalf of Dieter and myself, thanks again for tuning in tonight. And we'll see you again next week for another